YF-23 is back and better. Once a ghost of aviation history, this stealth fighter vanished after losing to the F-22. But now the United States has shocked the world by unveiling a futuristic version, so advanced it's being called a UFO airplane. With alien-like stealth, unmatched speed, and next-generation tech, this reborn YF-23 could change the skies forever. Could this mysterious craft be America's leap into the future of warfare? And is the world ready for it? Join us as we explore the capabilities of the futuristic YF-23 UFO airplane that the U.S. just revealed. Conceived by Northrop in the late 20th century, a time when digital design was barely emerging and budgets constrained ambition, this fighter was a machine built to rewrite the rules of air combat. It was unlike anything the world had seen, and it promised stealth and speed in ways that felt almost otherworldly. If the Air Force had chosen it under the Advanced Tactical Fighter Program in 1990, the very concept of sixth-generation fighters might have arrived decades earlier. Its ideas did not vanish with its official loss to Lockheed's YF-22. Instead, they lingered, quietly influencing the next era of aerial warfare. Long before the YF-23 took shape, Northrop's engineers were already exploring the boundaries of stealth. Beginning in 1981, Robertson, Dusky, and Upinglu envisioned a fighter that could move unseen, agile yet invisible, blending the speed and power of modern jets with the shadow-like presence of a phantom. When American reconnaissance satellites first caught sight of the Soviet Union's Su-27 and MiG-29 fighter prototypes between 1977 and 1979, alarm bells rang loudly across the United States. These sleek Soviet jets promised to erase the combat and maneuverability advantages of America's top fighters, the freshly introduced F-15 Eagle and the agile F-16 Fighting Falcon. The growing Soviet threat did not stop there. In 1978, the USSR unveiled the A-50 Airborne Warning and Control System, a flying radar fortress, along with increasingly sophisticated surface-to-air missile defenses. For the U.S. Air Force, the message was clear. Its tactical edge was being challenged, and the future battlefield would demand something extraordinary. By 1981, the U.S. Air Force responded by laying down requirements for an ambitious new aircraft, the Advanced Tactical Fighter, or ATF. This jet would not simply match the Soviets. It would leap into the future with revolutionary technology. Engineers envisioned a machine built from composite materials and lightweight alloys, powered by advanced engines, guided by digital flight control systems, and cloaked in cutting-edge stealth. It would be versatile, performing both air-to-air duels and precision air-to-ground strikes with equal mastery. When the Air Force released its request for information in May 1981, aerospace companies flooded in with creative concepts. The program, codenamed Senior Sky, was still shaping its identity, so responses varied wildly. Northrop, known for bold ideas, offered 3 designs that ranged from an inexpensive lightweight fighter to a hyper-agile performer to a low-observable missileer. All were compact, emphasizing agility and cost efficiency. One prioritized maneuverability at the cost of stealth, another maximized invisibility but sacrificed agility, and a third struck a careful balance between the two. This final path evolved into a radical design with diamond wings, butterfly tails, and a fuselage sculpted to deflect radar. By 1983, momentum had picked up. The Air Force established the ATF System Program Office at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, growing from the early concept development team. After close talks with Tactical Air Command and industry leaders, the SPO decided the ATF's heart would lie in air-to-air combat. It would replace the F-15, soar at supersonic speeds, cruise effortlessly above Mach 1, and dance through the skies with unmatched maneuverability. Northrop responded with the N-360, a futuristic Mach 2 plus fighter sporting delta wings, twin-thrust vectoring engines, and bold vertical tail designs. But another secret was reshaping the future: stealth. The SPO had been briefed on classified, black world projects like Have Blue and the F-117 Nighthawk, Tacit Blue, and the advanced technology bomber that later became the B-2 Spirit. These programs showed that radar invisibility was no longer science fiction. The ATF would now need not just speed and agility, but near invisibility. Northrop was uniquely positioned. Since October 1981, a stealth design team led by engineer Robert Sandusky had been quietly experimenting. By 1985, he was joined by Yu-Ping Liu, a B-2 scientist with rare mastery of both radar signatures and aerodynamics. Together, they pushed three daring concepts: the agile, maneuverable fighter, emphasizing aerobatics with minimal stealth; the ultra-stealth fighter, nicknamed the Christmas tree for his sharp, angular planform; and the high-stealth fighter, or HSF, which struck a near-perfect balance. The high-stealth fighter became the crown jewel. With diamond wings, butterfly tails, and carefully aligned surfaces, it absorbed radar waves and slipped past detection. Its nose, nicknamed the platypus for its unique curves, reflected Liu's genius in blending stealth with airflow. By 1985, the HSF had evolved into a design that looked strikingly close to what the world would later recognize as the Northrop YF-23, a sleek predator embodying both invisibility and speed. Every line and surface of the aircraft was purposeful. Its cockpit sat higher than most, giving pilots an extraordinary field of vision, while the peculiar platypus-shaped nose allowed for sharper attack angles. The fuselage was a masterpiece of stealth, sculpted to slice through radar and air alike. Beneath the surface, a tricycle landing gear supported the craft, and a spacious internal weapons bay kept its firepower hidden from prying eyes. Its twin engines were tucked into separate ducts to minimize radar exposure, and their exhaust passed through heat-dissipating tiles made of a porous alloy, masking the aircraft from infrared-guided missiles. Unlike the YF-22, the YF-23 did not need thrust vectoring to turn. It could cruise above Mach 1.5 without afterburners, combining speed, stealth, and survivability in a rare harmony. Testing confirmed it was quieter, faster, and more elusive than its competitor. Flight testing proved that Northrop's predictions about the YF-23's performance were accurate. The aircraft could achieve a maximum angle of attack of 25 degrees and was considered stealthier and faster than the YF-22. Its weapons bay, carefully designed for low radar signature, was tested for acoustics, though it never launched live missiles during trials. Lockheed's YF-22, by comparison, did fire AIM-9 Sidewinders and AIM-120 AMRAAMs, giving it an edge in live demonstration. One of the most intense moments came on November 30th, 1990, when the YF-23's PAV-1 prototype performed a grueling combat demonstration. 6 flights within 10 hours, showing stamina, speed, and reliability. Over the course of the program, the two YF-23s flew 50 sorties, logging a total of 65.2 flight hours. Meanwhile, Lockheed's YF-22 completed more flights and more testing hours, which later proved crucial in the Air Force's decision-making. By December 1990, both Lockheed and Northrop had submitted their final evaluations and proposals. Despite outperforming the YF-22 in speed, stealth, and overall capability, the Air Force chose Lockheed's design, prioritizing low-speed agility and other logistical factors. Most aircraft shelved under similar circumstances faded into obscurity, yet the YF-23's story was far from over. Back in the year 2004, Northrop Grumman brought forward an ambitious proposal that drew heavy attention within aviation circles. The company suggested developing an advanced bomber known as the FB-23, nicknamed the Rapid Theater Attack, or RTA. It was intended to meet a United States Air Force call for an interim regional bomber. It was set to compete against other strong contenders, including the Lockheed Martin FB-22 and Boeing's modified B-1R concept. Unlike its fighter predecessor, this proposed bomber would feature a 2-seat cockpit and a much larger overall structure. While maintaining a similar planform shape to the original F-23, the FB-23 would be considerably bigger in every dimension. Its length would stretch to around 100 feet, making it capable of carrying heavier payloads and traveling greater distances to match the role of a true tactical bomber. The envisioned aircraft would boast an impressive combat radius of over 1,600 nautical miles, equal to nearly 1,840 standard miles, or almost 2,960 kilometers. Alongside this range, it was expected to carry an internal payload of up to 10,000 pounds of ordnance. To support these needs, the FB-23 would rely on powerful engines equipped with round axis-symmetric nozzles positioned above the aft deck. This was a departure from the YF-23 fighter, which had used wedge-shaped flaps on its nozzles. Despite the changes, Northrop Grumman retained certain trademark features, such as the semicircular inlet design paired with a conical compression bump, which had been a hallmark of the original prototype. To push the project further, the company even modified the YF-23P AV-2 prototype, turning it into a display model that could demonstrate how the proposed bomber might look and operate. Aviation enthusiasts and defense officials were intrigued by the concept, yet the FB-23 faced an uphill battle. In 2006, the Quadrennial Defense Review effectively ended any hope for the project. The review concluded that the United States Air Force should pursue a long-range strategic bomber rather than settle for a regional interim design. As a result, the FB-23 proposal was shelved in favor of programs that eventually evolved into the next-generation bomber and later the long-range strike bomber effort, which produced the B-21 Raider. But that did not discourage Northrop Grumman, because years later, in 2018, Northrop Grumman once again explored possibilities for resurrecting aspects of the F-23 design. This time, the interest came from abroad. The Japan Air Self-Defense Force released a request for industry partners to help develop its next-generation fighter, often referred to as the FX, bridging both fifth and sixth generation capabilities. Speculation quickly rose that Northrop Grumman might pitch a modernized version of the F-23 to Japan as a potential solution. Meanwhile, Lockheed Martin responded with a proposal based on a modified F-22 airframe. However, both American options ultimately failed to win Japan's approval, primarily because of concerns tied to cost in industrial workshare agreements. Everyone must have thought that the YF-23 had no future in aviation, but the story did not end with that loss. Its design philosophies re-emerged decades later, influencing the most advanced aircraft of the 21st century. The B-21 Raider adopted hidden engines, recessed nozzles, and minimized thermal signatures, perfecting ideas that were initially tested in the YF-23. But that's not all. Similarly, sixth-generation fighter programs around the world, including the Global Combat Air Program, adopted its radical approach: smooth silhouettes, blended wings, concealed intakes, and a philosophy that prioritizes invisibility and rapid strike over traditional dogfighting. Its revolutionary concepts also re-emerged as the backbone of the next-generation air dominance program. Features that once seemed fantastical, keyless design, blended wings, exotic air intakes, hidden engines, no vertical tails, and a smooth thermal profile, are now shaping the fighters of tomorrow. Boeing's F-47 concept, for instance, mirrors the YF-23's silhouette so closely that Darrell B. Cummings, one of the original engineers, described it as a continuation of his team's work from 30 years prior. What seemed over-engineered in the 1980s and 90s is now recognized as foresight. At the time, flight control systems could not stabilize an aircraft without vertical fins, and nozzle heat shielding was experimental, often yielding unpredictable outcomes. Today, with high-speed processors, autonomous stabilization, and advanced airflow simulations, those once risky ideas have become reliable, foundational elements of modern stealth aircraft design. The philosophy behind the YF-23 remains as relevant as ever. Rather than dogfighting, it focused on first look, first shot, and first kill. Its innovations live on in aircraft like the B-21 Raider, whose hidden engines, recessed nozzles, and low thermal signature directly reflect lessons learned from the YF-23. In a modern battlefield shaped by hypersonic weapons, autonomous drones, and integrated sensor networks, invisibility and speed are survival, and the YF-23 set the standard. At the heart of its enduring influence lies stealth as a fundamental principle. The YF-23's engines were tucked deep within the fuselage, exhaust flows cooled through heat-absorbing tiles, and radar-deflecting surfaces made the aircraft almost invisible to sensors. This was not merely camouflage. It was a philosophy of survival. Modern jets like the B-21 Raider owe much to these ideas, adopting deeply recessed engines, hidden nozzles, and shielded intakes to minimize thermal signatures. Engineers confirmed that the Raider did not simply borrow concepts, it perfected them, translating early experimentation into practical, battle-ready solutions. But stealth alone does not define these aircraft. Digital intelligence has become equally crucial. The Raider integrates virtual modeling, digital twins, and modular systems, transforming the fighter into a flexible, adaptive platform. The YF-23 envisioned a world where pilots operate not as isolated warriors, but as central nodes in a larger network, commanding automated systems, drones, and integrated sensors. What was once experimental guesswork in the 1980s is now reliable engineering, allowing aircraft to vanish from sight while delivering precision strikes. The ripple effect of the YF-23 extends beyond the United States. Allies, including Britain, Japan, and Italy, collaborate on the Global Combat Air Program to develop sixth-generation fighters. Their designs show Northrop's radical innovations: smooth, flowing surfaces, concealed propulsion systems, no vertical tails, and highly aerodynamic silhouettes. AI co-pilots, automated threat detection, and fully digital cockpits make these aircraft more than machines. They are extensions of a networked battlefield where speed, invisibility, and intelligence determine survival. Today, with hypersonic weapons, multispectral sensors, and autonomous drones shaping combat, its vision is prophetic. Every curve, every intake, every hidden line on modern stealth aircraft reflects lessons first explored on the YF-23. Though it never flew in production, its legacy endures, influencing aircraft that dominate skies and redefine aerial supremacy. While critics initially called it too radical, today its design principles are echoed in cutting-edge programs across the globe, proving that visionary ideas never truly fade. The evolution of aerial combat has shifted the very role of the pilot. Modern sixth-generation jets are designed around artificial intelligence, where human pilots are no longer lone combatants, but commanders of interconnected digital armies. AI co-pilots anticipate threats in fractions of a second. Automated systems detect dangers faster than any human reaction, and fully digital cockpits transform the pilot into the brain of a vast airborne network. Decades ago, the YF-23 hinted at this paradigm shift. Its geometry, once considered unconventional, was a blueprint for a future where speed, invisibility, and first-strike capability outweighed traditional dogfighting agility. It is essential to dispel a long-standing myth. The YF-23 was not inferior to Lockheed's YF-22 in performance. Both aircraft were extraordinary, but Northrop pursued a philosophy focused on survivability and lethal efficiency. Their principle was simple yet devastating: first see, first strike, first kill. No endless circles, no cinematic duels, just the clean, ruthless logic of modern warfare. In today's era of hypersonic missiles, multispectral sensors, and autonomous drones, this philosophy has proven prescient, guiding the development of platforms that dominate the skies not through agility alone, but through unseen mastery. International programs like the Global Combat Air Program, alongside America's next-generation air dominance initiatives, continue to draw from the YF-23's DNA. Blended wings, smooth thermal profiles, and buried engines are no longer experimental. They are foundational. The B-21 Raider, often seen as a successor to the B-2 Spirit, perfected many concepts first tested in the Black Widow II, including heat suppression, recessed propulsion, and low observable design. Stealth is no longer optional. It is the essence of survival. The battlefield of today is no longer defined by dogfights or simple air-to-air duels. It is a complex, fast-moving arena dominated by hypersonic weapons capable of crossing continents in mere minutes. Sensors now operate across multiple spectra, radar, infrared, and electronic frequencies, allowing military forces to detect threats long before they appear on traditional systems. Autonomous drone swarms fly alongside manned aircraft, overwhelming defenses not through brute force alone, but through intelligence, numbers, and relentless coordination. At the heart of this high-tech warfare is real-time sensor fusion, connecting satellites, jets, and command centers into one massive digital brain, orchestrating battles with a precision that would have seemed unimaginable decades ago. In this environment, maneuverability, once the hallmark of fighter superiority, has become secondary. True survivability comes from invisibility, from the ability to remain unseen until the decisive moment. This is where the legacy of the YF-23 becomes strikingly relevant. Although the YF-23 never entered production, its design philosophy has shaped the most advanced fighter programs in the world. The aircraft was conceived not for Hollywood-style dogfights, but for the future of warfare, an era defined by striking first, striking unseen, and striking with lethal efficiency. The next-generation air dominance program, the B-21 Raider, and international initiatives like the Global Combat Air Program may appear different on the surface, yet they share the same core principles first pioneered by the YF-23. These aircraft are not merely fighters, they are instruments of air dominance designed to control the battlefield through stealth, speed, and integrated intelligence. Every curve, every hidden intake, and every recessed engine in these modern platforms echoes the visionary thinking of Northrop engineers who, decades ago, imagined a plane from the future. In the sixth-generation era, the mission is no longer to outmaneuver the enemy in the sky. It is to vanish from detection, to deliver strikes before adversaries even know they are under threat. The YF-23 anticipated this reality long before the technology to realize it existed. Its advanced aerodynamics, hidden exhausts, and sleek, radar-resistant design were early blueprints for today's stealth-first philosophy. The aircraft's spirit endures, influencing the architecture of modern jets that integrate artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, and digital command networks. What was once dismissed as radical, over-engineered, or ahead of its time has proven to be prophetic. The YF-23 was more than a prototype. It was a thinking model, a design philosophy that whispers through the silhouettes of every next-generation fighter. Thanks for watching. Before you go, click the link on your screen to check out another video. See you there.